Hello, my name is Dr. Robin Kearney Frazier. I hold a degree in adult education with specialization of distance learning. This is the Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild monthly meeting for August. We're going to jump right on in here today. Who is a service who has a working dog? And that is defined by a dog that is specially trained to perform specific tasks. With a service dog, with all working dogs, they do have a minimum of public access and tasks. Kind of the gray area there is therapy dogs. Because they are trained to provide comfort to a multitude of people, and they do have a lot of socialization, but they do not have open access to anywhere that the person goes. Same way with working dogs, it is up to the individual businesses to decide if a working dog is allowed in their establishment. Service dogs are protected by the American with Disabilities Act, stating that they are able to go with their handler pretty much everywhere. So that kind of answered what is the Service Dog and Working Handlers Guild. We're basically a intentional network of people who have service or working dogs, who train service or working dogs, provides care to service and working dogs. So that could be groomers, that could be veterinarians, it could be stores that are offering discounts because you're a member of our organization. And we are part of Guilds of Requiem. It's a nonprofit private foundation that was established as a sole proprietorship in 2016. In 2020, we became a nonprofit corporation with the state of Texas. In 2022, we received our 501 nonprofit private foundation recognition from the IRS, and did date it to the August of 2020. So we're kind of playing a lot of catch up because that classification came 3 years too early than what we had planned. So the Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild, commonly known as SWDHG, is located in Pipe Creek, Texas, which is in Bandera County. We do service Bandera County at minimum. We also have members in the greater San Antonio area, including Bernie and Kerrville. We just had somebody from Hondo join us. So we're pretty much everywhere, and we can be everywhere for our virtual meetings. At this time, we do not have physical meetings. How to join the Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild? Only we do have a website, web pages on the Guardians Guild website dedicated to the service and working dogs. We do have an application on Google Forms, or you can send an email to swdhg@guildsofrequiem.com. If you're interested in being more involved with Guilds of Requiem, by all means, we would love to talk to you. And that is an email to customer service@guildsofrequiem.com. So our topic of the month is once we get through some of this other stuff, and we'll recap what I just said, it's when to tire a service dog. So I may have kind of missed some of these points. The Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild was founded in 2018 as the answer to a need of group work sessions of the service dog handlers in Bandera County. That was kind of an area that we saw lacking, as everybody would get their service dog trained to a point, but being reactive to other dogs that they were going by. They kind of needed some help in the group setting and what is acceptable group behavior or public access behavior with your dog and other service dogs, or even just other dogs that you come across. As stated before, we're an intentional network of service and working dog handlers. The handlers are either self or owner trained, or they have a company trained dog, sometimes owner assisted training because they're working with a personal dog trainer, but they have homework to do every day to keep their dog in task. We do have a set of handlers' rights and responsibilities, our code of honor that we are very strict about enforcing. We are advocates for service dog access by educating businesses with one-on-one or group training sessions. I just recently had one with an oncology office where they kind of had the misconception that the service dogs had to be certified and registered. And the American with Disability Act does not recognize certification or registries. So if you see one of those advertisements to, hey, register your dog with us and they can be a service dog and go with you anywhere. No, those are not legitimate. This does not legitimize your dog as a service dog. Training and task training is what establishes your dog as a service dog. We do advocate for service dog teams right with access to the general public through our social media accounts. And we are what's called a sub-guild of Guilds of Requiem. And the reason that is we have the ability to produce our own revenue and be self-sufficient on our own. So what is a Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild? Our working dogs were added to our program in 2020 after noticing some law enforcement officers were doing training exercises on state property. Kind of the problem with where they're at is they're getting ready to, within the next 5 years, expand our highway to two lanes and a turn lane going, 2 lanes going both directions and a turn lane. So where they were training is going to go from here to here. And that's going to kind of be limiting to them. So what we did is we offered the old marketplace up in Pipe Creek so that they can use it for specific training goals. They can use it for training, scent work. They can use it for agility. If somebody comes in the correct padding, they can also use it for training to protect. Like I stated before, we do limit the classification of a working dog to dogs that are trained to perform specific tasks. Our group does not support emotional animals as they do not require training to provide comfort. If you're finding yourself disabled to the point where you cannot function without your dog, then you need to have a discussion with your doctor or your psychiatrist to see if they feel that a service dog will be right for you. From there, we can help you train basically your pet to be able to assist you and mitigate your disabilities. So I already stated before that Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild is a sub-guild of Guilds of Requiem whose operational philosophy is in line with the stated mission of Guilds of Requiem, and that is creating an intentional community network, providing specific training for the members, and providing low-cost activities, educational opportunities, events, and services for the community we live in. Just to recap, that Guilds of Requiem was formed in 2016 with the goal of being recognized a 501 nonprofit. That has been our business model since day one. When I talked with the IRS and saw that the 2020 was on our recognition letter, I called them and said, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And they said, "Well, we looked back at your business model since you started in 2016, and you've always been operating as a nonprofit." So that was kind of a yay thing type to hear. Where are we located again? We are in Pipe Creek. Bandera County is our primary community. We're located about 30 minutes west of Helotes on Bandera Road, which does turn into Highway 16 South. City of Bandera is about 10 minutes west of Pipe Creek on Highway 16. We do provide opportunities for the Bernie and Kerrville communities. Anybody that's willing to travel here once we start our physical meetings, or to come out to our Pirate Puppy Party on November 18th being held at the Palmarosa RV Park. So meetings are currently online and we're meant to be informative versus offering training opportunities unless somebody requests it. We do occasionally have guest speakers to address specific topics, and we do recap the who, what, where, when, and why, and how of our organization, and the why we are here is addressed frequently through our meetings. Online meetings are held on the 4th Sunday of every month, with the exception of November, December, and January, as we do not wish to disrupt holiday festivities, and it becomes a well-deserved break for our volunteers. We do utilize the Zoom meeting platform. If you would like to join us, our meeting ID is 830-535-2022. You do need to have a verified account with Zoom to participate. All meetings are recorded and then uploaded to our YouTube channel, Service and Working Dogs Guild. So if the 4th Sunday, and I believe we have it at 11 a.m., is not good for you, you can follow that YouTube channel. And whenever we post a new video, you'll be the first ones to see it because you'll get notified. join Servicing Working Dogs. You can use any of our social media groups. We do have a group on Facebook with the name of Service and Working Dog Handlers Guild. So all you have to do is put it in the search bar. You can go to our Guardians Guild website to have access to our forums by completing the Guardians Guild application. The reason we have an application is we want to make sure that we're creating safe environments for all of our members. Once you have submitted your application, please do that first, and I will upload PDF files to the different places. You can then create an account on the Guardian Guild's website for the members only information. What that gets you to is our forums are public, so anybody can see our forums, but they cannot respond without being a member of that website. The groups are closed down. Anyone who is on the site can see what our topics are, but they cannot see what the description is or see what the discussions are, because sometimes people need to share some private things that they really don't want public. So that is what we utilize the groups for on our websites, and that is why we have such a strict application process to be a part of our websites. If you have a Gmail account, we recommend you using that because Gmail offers its own additional level of security. And that basically when you go to log in or to register, you'll see a Google icon. Click on that icon. If you're already into your Gmail account, it automatically populates the information. And then once you hit submit, it sends us an email, and then we will go look for your Guardians Guild application before we will approve you. You have 1 week from the time that you submit a request to be a part of our website to complete the Guardians Guild application. If you're not sure where to find it, our email address is swdhg@guildsofrequiem.com. We do have a specific form for the Service and Working Dogs Handler Guild on a form. As I said, all of this information will be a PDF uploaded to our website and to our, unfortunately, Facebook and Instagram do not allow you to update a PDF to upload a PowerPoint presentation. Otherwise, we'd have it there too. And that looks like a duplicate account. So it's time for the topic of the month. And this is a question we receive quite frequently, is I've had my service dog now for 6, 7, 8 years. They're starting to get old. They're starting to miss alerts. They're not quite able to do their tasks as they want to be able to. I need to retire them. What can I expect? So I kind of listed some of the determining factors of why and when you're going to retire your service dog, and we'll go a little bit more into detail. We're going to talk about getting and introducing a new prospective service dog and creating a tandem team with the one that you currently have, and how to transition to just that, the new service dog going into public with you. When to retire, things to consider. How old is your dog? The larger they are, they have a shorter lifespan. The smaller they are, they tend to have a longer lifespan, which means they have a longer time period to be working as a service and working dog for you, service dog for you. That's one of the things you need to consider. You also need to consider, are they suspect or I can't think of the word right now, but basically they're predisposed to having hip issues, joint issues. Common thing that we see in the larger medium to larger breeds of dogs is hip dysplasia, which means walking becomes very painful in their back area. We have had some that get an ACL tear in their front legs or their back legs, have to have surgery, and they're just not able to perform to the level in which is expected of them as a service dog. You also need to consider your tasks that are being performed. I initially started out with a medical alert service dog. Actually, she was a medical response. And then after we had been together for 2 or 3 years, and with the help of my coworkers, she started alerting onto my medical condition. Because we had her, it made it easier for us to train a puppy. And at that time, I really didn't need a medium to large size dog for anything. So Wicked is a Boston Terrier boxer. Basically, that amounts to, he's a portable boxer with a really large girth to him. So he was able to perform some of the tasks that I needed, such as dropped item retrieval. He was able to alert on my blood pressure changing or about to change. So that allowed me time to get in a safe position so that I would not become injured. Unfortunately, I was in an auto accident in 2016 and Wicket was with me. He sustained injuries to his back, hips, and his back when he was tossed from the front seat to the back seat when his dog seat belt broke. And that was a flaw with that design. We have since moved on to better seat belts for the dogs. But with that auto accident, I had my own back injuries. And so that meant that I needed a larger dog to kind of help me with momentum and gait stability. For a while there, I needed a large dog because I needed, if I went down, I would need help standing up, specifically in the winter time. You're going to probably hear my dogs going crazy in the background because they're just being super needy today. So I do apologize for that. The other thing that could happen is you have your annual exam at the vet to get your annual vaccinations, and we do recommend that you get all of the vaccinations that are available to you for your service dog, as that is a way to keep them protected from a lot of common ailments that dogs get. And your vet may say, you know, I'm noticing that maybe your dog is put on extra weight, that's going to put extra pressure on their joints. Or they might say, you know, they're old enough now that you might want to consider retiring them. And because it is at least a 2-year process to train a new service dog, whether you're on a waiting list for a company dog or your owner assisting trainer or owner training, it does take about 2 years before they are what's considered completely trained and public access ready. Does it always mean it takes that long? No. But the thing you need to remember is training never ends. It's, you know, kind of like riding a bicycle. You learn how to ride a bicycle and then you don't do it for several years and you get onto the bicycle and you're kind of, you know, you have to retrain yourself and go back to that memories of how you rode a bicycle. Dogs are the same way. They need help in reminding what their tasks are, what their public access behaviors. So the training never ends, and you do need to have some stimulation to keep them occupied, especially if you sit a lot for your job or you're disabled and can't walk a lot. Consider looking at training, not training, but I'm sorry, my brain just went blank on me on the little things that you can get your dog to help them sniff out a treat. Engaging activities is the best way I think to do. So what to think about when you're choosing a prospective service dog? I've already touched on that your tasks. Have they changed or remain the same? If they remain the same, then maybe the size of dog that you currently have is the best dog that's going to work for you. So you might try to find a dog of similar breeds. You might go to the humane societies. You know, maybe somebody in your area has puppies that they're selling. We do encourage that you go to if you have a variety of needs, kind of go to the Humane Society and see if there's a dog already there that just needs a loving home and a little bit of training to get them to the point that you need. It helps you avoid the puppy stage of where they kind of pee and poo wherever and they're teething, and so they gnaw on your furniture, pretty much gnaw on anything that they can get because they're cutting new teeth or they're bored. So it's kind of things you need to consider is, are you able to care for a second dog while you're, you know, keeping your first and training a second dog can sometimes be more than that you're able to do. You also need to consider the age of the dog. As I mentioned, if they're a puppy, you've got to go through all that puppy training, but the benefit is that you have a stronger bond with that prospective service dog. You know, and sometimes things don't work out. So you need to have a plan in advance of, hey, I've got my new prospective service dog. They're just not getting public access. They're not picking up the tasks. their energy is too much for you, or their lack of energy is too much for you. Maybe they're reactive to other dogs and they had a bad experience, and it's just their emotional state of mind can no longer handle being a service dog. So you kind of need to have a plan in place if that happens. Are you able to keep that perspective as a pet? That is one consideration. Maybe reach out to some of the rescues, though they're all pretty full right now. We really, unless the Humane Society or where you get your dog says, hey, if they don't work out, reach out to us and we'll rehome them. Always check your options when you're getting that perspective of what if things don't work out. We do ask you to remember that it takes 3 days to get comfortable in the home. It takes 3 weeks for them to fully start to integrate and be comfortable with you working with them. And it takes 3 months for them to understand your schedule and the type of life that you live. So we usually say, give them 3 to 6 months before you decide that they're not working. Make sure the place where you get them is willing to take them and rehome if you can't keep another dog. So these are all things that you kind of want to consider. All right. We have 3 puppies that are a year old, so they have a lot of energy that sometimes interrupts meetings, so I do apologize for them roughhousing behind me. So once you get the new service dog, you want to take it slow. You don't want to just throw them in the same room together and expect everything to work out. We recommend that you kind of try to separate them between having their own crates and their own rooms. We recommend putting the new dog into a crate and crate train them so that your current service dog can kind of sniff them out, and they can kind of sniff each other out and decide whether they like each other or not. Sometimes you might see a little bit of aggression from both of them. If that's the case, move the crate to another room. Put a couple of towels in there, maybe a couple small blankets, throw blankets, so that the new dog gets their scent on them. Pull that blanket out. Start moving it close to your current one's favorite place or to their crate, because that kind of gets them used to the scent. Do a gentle introduction. Like we said, don't just throw them in the room together with each other and expect everything to be good and happy. Kind of let them see each other from the other side of the rooms. Then kindly, slowly work together till they're able to sniff each other, and you can see if they're going to get along or bond. That is the big thing. If your current service dog and the dog, the perspective that you've brought in just absolutely do not get along, and just like people have personality clashes, dogs can have personality clashes as well. So just kind of see how they're getting along, and that might be a determination on if things don't work out, plan. Creating a tandem team. This starts with the human. As much as we train our dogs, we need to train ourselves as handlers on how to manage our dogs when at home, how to manage them when we're outside, how to manage them when we're in public. This makes sure this is a portion where this is on you, the human. This is on you, the handler. There is a group that I belong to, and she runs, Renee runs the Street Dog Rehab, but she also has a group called the Human End of the Leash. I highly recommend you join there. Everyone is open and will give you suggestions and ideas on how to train yourself to think differently, and to be able to kind of think about, how do I help my dog learn what they need to do? Like I said, I went from Celine, who was a medium-sized dog, to Wicket, who was small. Then I went from Wicket to a large dog. So I kind of had to figure out, how am I going to walk both of these dogs at the same time? Luckily for me, Wicket's a character. All I had to do was hold Wicket's leash and I had a really long training leash for Cletus when we first got him, and Wicked kind of grabbed onto Cletus's leash, gave him a couple of tugs to start moving forward with me. If he'd start to wander from one side to the other, he would tug him back into place. So it was really quite humorous on watching how these two dogs bonded in what Wicket was doing and what Cletus needed to learn. Cletus learned good behaviors from Wicket. And Cletus also learned, hey, this is what's starting to change on Mom. You need to pay attention. You need to alert Mom to what's happening with her. So that's kind of the great thing about a tandem team. You can be in public with a tandem team because each dog is maybe handling a different condition, or you're training a new dog, and so they learn behaviors from the existing dog on what is acceptable and appropriate behaviors. You do need to consider your lifestyle. We already brought this up, that if you're not able to have two dogs in your home, if you are limited in your ability, you may want to bring in a trainer to help you create that bond between your tandem team so that your new dog is learning behaviors from your existing dog. And that falls into the training. Are you able to maintain training for your current dog while doing individual training for your prospective dog? If you are having problems with that, consider bringing in a trainer. We really don't recommend a board and train because that creates some separation anxiety. You know, you've kind of already, right, take it to the other room. You need to consider, do you need help training? Like I said, we do not recommend board and training because that creates a lot of separation anxiety. We kind of made that mistake with Wicket because I was in and out of the hospital so much after my auto accident, and he was still young and needed additional training. We decided to board him for pretty much every time that I was in the hospital. And while he had great fun there at doggy daycare, learning socialization skills, being there for 2 weeks kind of caused an issue where he did not want to be away from me. If for some reason we were apart from each other, he would become basically a little hellion on four legs and was frequently destructive. So we had to teach him that it's okay for me to be away. And that is coming into the next section of going solo, separation anxiety. Your current dog has been used to being with you 24/7 for, so with Wicket, he's been 24/7 with me for 7 years now, 8 years. So we had to kind of go slow from Wicket staying home and Cletus being with me all the time. And that came with the training. Once we got them comfortable with each other, we would leave Wicket in the house for a little bit, and I would maybe take Cletus to just outside our door. And I would start increasing that time limit slowly so that Wicket got to used to, okay, Mom's not here right now, Cletus is not here right now, but I know they're going to come back. So that's kind of how we had to work with it. It really helped when we had Bella, who was a American Stratfordshire Terrier, and she was so lovable and so calm that she was able to kind of project her calmness onto Wicket, so he wasn't quite as destructive. And go slow. It's okay to take a step back. You know, just as the dogs are maturing, the puppies are maturing, they're going to all of a sudden have some fear factors. It's okay to dial it back and start working with them at home again, and then slowly work your way back to public access. If in public access something happens and maybe they're attacked by another dog, you really need to seek out a dog behavioral specialist so that they can help your current service dog or your new prospective service dog kind of work through that anxiety that they now have in public when another dog arrives. So if there's any questions that you need answers, use the comments below. We do monitor all of our social media, including YouTube and our emails. Just put a comment on there, ask a question on there, and either myself or one of the other trainers that we work with will answer that question. That is everything that I have for today. thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate you being here, and have a wonderful week.